Let's see. Recorded. You there, Ron? Hello, Ron? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Okay. I just changed. Yeah. Okay. I think I changed it because Wendy signed on the same thing. So I see if that's working for you now.
Okay, turn that on. There you go.
I see you.
All right. Now do you hear me on the computer too?
All right. Just my volume here so I can hear you.
Do you hear me now?
Okay. Yes, I guess I have to change everybody from viewer to contributor in order so they can see this. So, okay.
Hey, Don.
Hello.
Hey, I'm about 3 minutes from a parking lot, so I'll turn my video on as soon as I'm parked. But I'll be able to hear you guys. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Yeah, I didn't know there was a difference between a viewer and a contributor when I set the meeting up. So,
Yeah, I've never seen that before, but
yeah. Okay, I'll mark everybody off as it coming in here. Traces here. Tabs. Little index here. And this here. Right. No.
So, Will, how dry are the fields?
It's pretty dry. We're supposed to get some good rain tonight.
Good.
We
saw
could
the
get
dust blowing across the road yesterday, thinking it's too early for that.
yeah, it is. It's these snowless winters. It just doesn't hold on to moisture well.
Okay. Oh. Okay, so we're just waiting for Dave Newman and Mike Tucker to sign in. If they're, I know Dave was on vacation, but he said he was gonna call in today.
Do you know where he is?
I forget where he said he was going, but out of town somewhere. There's Mike. David. I've got everybody except for Dave marked off here. We're going to do just brief introductions. I think everybody, the only person here I think that doesn't know most everybody is Will. So you want to say something about yourself, Will, and just let us all know what you.
Yeah, sure. My name is Will Yandick. I'm the co-owner of Green Acres Farm. It's a mixed fruit and vegetable farm in northern Livingston. We're in our 110th year in my family. I'm the 4th generation. And relevant to this group also, I have been on the Livingston Town Board since 2012 as the deputy supervisor, and I'm serving as a trustee for the Columbia Land Conservancy, our county's Soil and Water Office, County Farm Bureau, County Farmland Protection Bureau. Happy to join.
Mm-hmm. I think the most of the rest of us have been on our Climate Smart Communities Committee at one point or another. So this is sort of a spin-off from that effort.
With the exception of Mike Tucker.
And Mike Tucker. Yep.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. I'm still working on the technology, so.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, as we are. So. It might go here. Yep.
Hi, Will. It's good to see you.
Oh.
Good to be here.
All right, so I don't know. Dave is a little bit late here for some reason, but I maybe we get started. So this is really just, I guess, just a little sort of a get to know each other meeting. We have received a letter from DEC that says we got the grant to do a climate action plan, both a government operations and community-based climate action plan. We then received an email from DE. We were waiting to find out to get a contract from them. So we did recently receive an email that actually lays out the contract process. It's a little bit different than I thought it was going to go, but it appears that it's more of a negotiated contract. It's not like they're going to send us a contract, boilerplate contract for us to sign, and then we can start our process. So the first caveat or sort of explanation of the process, it looks like to me that we will begin the RFP process to hire a consultant and to negotiate the contract with DEC concurrently at the same time.
Does that mean we can negotiate for more funding?
I don't believe so, no. That's kind of written in stone. So, yep. So we've got this next steps document from DEC, and we're following through with that. A couple of things internally in the county. We have to set up like an account in the was it called the SFS, where we
In the portal, the state portal.
the state portal, the financing portal. Yeah. So we've got that. We have to assign some roles in there. I think that has to take place over at the Treasury department. So internally, Patrice and I are working on that to get that all set up so that we will have somebody in place to actually sign the contract and negotiate the specifics of the contract. And after that, let's see. So we have to develop a work plan and budget, which we did for the application. Again, this is a little, so basically we have to develop a work plan and budget for the contract now, which we can just copy and paste that from our application. We had a pretty well developed work plan and budget in our application, so we can copy and paste that into this draft contract with a little bit of tweaking, because obviously we've already got a cap committee in place now, which we didn't when we were applying for the grant. And the way I described the work plan was, I didn't really quite understand that this was the developing the contract and the RFP were going to happen at the same time. So just a little bit of tweaking there as far as the work plan will go.
And Don, who are we looking for as a contractor ideally? I know we have an RFP, but is this something like CDRPC or something that would come in and help us with this? Or are you thinking of another entity that?
I think it would be a private consultant. So it wouldn't be like another agency being the consultant for us. I think this would be, we would go out and hire, private consulting firms. And there's one of the things that I have found is that in talking to a few folks out there, that there's a lot of planning work going on, and a lot of the planners who do this are really overloaded with work. There's just a ton of work out there for these planning consultants. So I just going to put that out for one person I talked to recently said that they're booked for the rest of 2025, and they're taking on new projects for 2026. They wouldn't, they really probably wouldn't be able to get started on a project like this until very, very late in 2025 or early 2026. So I just want to let everyone know that it's very busy.
My apologies for blurting out a question. I see Supervisor Knott had the tact and diplomacy to raise his hand.
Oh.
I'll mute.
Okay, Ron, I missed that. Yep.
Yeah, I just took a quick read of the contract. Because we're planning on using county staff for in-kind services, do we need to comply with the insurance requirements and the MWBE rules and regulations of the contractor? Or is that just specifically for the company that we contract with, do you think?
Yeah, the contract, whoever we contract with would have to comply with those. We have to have certain standard, like we have to have, we have to be an equal opportunity employer, which we are. We just have to submit the documentations that we have those kinds of policies in place. But the contractor we hire would have to,
Yeah.
And again, this is,
I didn't know if we needed to try and do it ourselves,
yeah,
doing other construction contracts, sometimes these MWBE requirements are almost impossible to meet. So you have to end up asking for a waiver, but you have to really prove that you tried,
Right. Yeah. That'll probably be laid out in the contract, Ron. That I know I've run into that a number of times too. That as long as you make a good faith effort,
Right,
to follow to comply with those requirements, that might be good enough, and that would probably be something that we put into the contract with DEC. They'll explain exactly what we would have to do to comply with that. Doesn't mean we have to hire MWBE consultant, but it would
but you don't think it's going to apply to us that you're trying to, or county staff that's trying to get credit for the in-kind services as part of the contract? Is it just the money we're paying out?
Yeah, I think it's just the money. I don't think that the in-kind services would.
Okay.
As far as I know,
I
my
wasn't
understanding is,
sure.
no, that would not come into play. MWBE would not come into play with volunteer services. No.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see.
Now Brenda has her hand up too.
Okay, Brenda.
So I had two questions. Is the kind of contractor we're looking for, are there specialized skill sets? And how are we developing a list of contractors to send out the RFP to? Is that the responsibility or function of this committee, or is that something that staff is doing? And the other question is the budget that you have to, you talked about tweaking the budget.
Mhm.
Is that the budget going to be the budget that is associated with the awarded contractor? Or are we going to be working with an interim budget that we're just working, that we worked with for the application?
So, let's see. What was the first question, Brenda?
And it was about the contractors. Are there specialized skill
Yes.
sets for this kind of work?
Yes.
And how are we identifying the list for the RFP?
Yeah, I'd say that's part of our responsibility is to describe the skill set of the contractor that we're looking for. Make sure that they are familiar with developing or analyzing greenhouse gas inventories and identifying mitigation measures that we could use. So yeah, we would definitely want to look for someone who has some experience in those areas. Also, we have been talking about community outreach, make sure that they have some experience with that. And it also, it doesn't mean we have to hire one consulting firm. A lot of time, we want to have like one person to pay, but it's also a lot of times these smaller firms will work together, put together a team of experts that are good in one aspect or the other. So I would recommend we kind of write the RFP so that's at least allowed, if not something that we're really looking for. I may be a little bit biased there because I came from a small time private consulting firm, and that's the way we worked. And I thought we did tremendous work compared with some of these larger engineering firms who had a planning department within them. And I don't know. So I'm just showing a little bit of my bias in that direction right now. Okay. And as far as the budget, well, the RFP would ask for we have $90,000 total to spend on a consultant, and it's really up to the consultant to decide where they are going, where they're going to put their efforts and come up with the best plan for us. As far as the other part of the budget, the matching part of the budget, that is, like I said, that might be something I tweak a little bit because we now have a CAP committee with different people involved, and I may have to make some minor adjustments in that, but we have to come up with basically $30,000 worth of effort between staff and volunteer folks to make up that match. Oh, I think you're muted, Brenda.
So if I understand you correctly, the budget's not going to change. It's just the numbers within the budget may change.
Yeah.
Okay.
We may have to tweak the volunteer and staff time a little bit because now we have a CAP committee put in place. So I may just tweak those numbers a little bit one way or the other. But I don't think there won't be a drastic change in that at all. Okay. Work. So I have put together a draft scope of work for a consultant. I think that's really kind of the primary work that this committee can do right now. Like I said, the contract stuff, Patrice and I can kind of take care of internally, who's going to work on that and make some tweaks to our work plan and budget. But I think we have to come up with a like a draft scope of work that we can incorporate into an RFP. And that's this last PDF that I sent out to everyone. So it's got a little, and Tara sent me a sample from Saratoga Springs. So I pulled from that, and I pulled from our grant application that had a lot of information in it. And just from my experience, responding to some of these RFPs, basically there's three parts to it. So we've got a little one-page project overview that describes what we intend to do. We have a consultant scope of services that kind of lays out the sort of the order of operations that we expect the prospective consultant to follow, and often we'll allow some adjustments to that. Typically this is sort of a suggestion that the consultant would follow, and if they have any other ideas, they can add to that or rearrange things and give us some explanation of why they think their plan is better than someone else's. And then at the end is some way to evaluate the proposals, which is often the hardest part. How are we going to evaluate one proposal from another?
John, I had just two quick questions. One, is that evaluation, would that be part of the scope of work that goes out to consultants, or would that be internal?
It was included in the Saratoga Springs one, and from my experience, it's often it's 50-50 from what, when I used to receive RFPs, they were often included, and it does help. It does help the consultant respond, knowing, how much weight you're going to put on one thing or another. But, very often the way they're described is kind of, it's not really clear.
But yeah,
There's a lot of,
and I was also wondering if, are you looking for any specific feedback on this document? If so, is there like a specific timeline that you want?
Primarily what we're looking for right now is, description of the project overview, the list of scope of services for that we would include, and perhaps how are we going to evaluate all of that. I think that's primarily what the feedback we're looking for from this particular meeting, Terrence.
Cool.
Because the way the guidelines are written is actually and that this, I haven't talked to anyone from DEC yet directly, but from the the guidelines that they sent us, they would like to have the name of the consultant that we intend to hire before they will actually sign the contract with us. So that's why I said we kind of have to develop the contract and this RFP, and actually possibly even pick a consultant before they will sign off on this and let us have the money that we're asking for. And this is the first time I have. Ron, you had a question?
Yeah, I did. In working with DASNY contracts, usually they're very clear on they don't want you to spend any money until you have this contract. For services. And in our case, where we're trying to utilize county staff towards this project, if we qualify by using county staff and or dollars towards developing the RFP before we have a contract.
I don't. Again, I don't think there's any way around having staff spend some time on this.
No, you're going to have to. I just didn't know if we should be tracking it now.
So tracking it definitely. That's.
Does it qualify for the in-kind services until we have a contract, though?
According to the grant that I read, after anything after March 15th we weren't able to use any staff or volunteer time towards this
Okay,
until after March 15th. But it's after March 15th, so I
All right.
believe, and again, I will check with this with my contact at DEC, but I believe we can start tracking staff and volunteer time now
okay.
to use towards our matching.
It's kind of a new process of working. To develop.
Yeah.
The RFP, you know, I mean, usually they want you to have a contract in place before you do it.
Yeah. I know. I was a little bit surprised when I saw that guideline document myself,
Yeah.
Ron. This is new to me. This is the first one
Yeah.
I've worked on. So
We'll work through it though, I'm sure.
I don't know. The only other I know, Wendy, have you worked on some of these contracts? Does this sound familiar or not?
As far as the timeline, Doc, I have not had to deal with that, no.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So, this may be something that's just unique to this particular department within DEC.
Right.
Yeah. And I think the purpose is just they want to make sure that we are going to use the money that they give us, and it's it's just part of the making sure the money isn't being abused by someone. Good. So what else? I think, that pretty much covers everything that I kind of had. Any other questions about the process, Brenda?
I'm just wondering what the timeline is for getting the documents back.
Yeah, I mean, again, I haven't talked to my contact at DEC yet. We have a I forget what her name is, but we have a contact that is going to be working with this sort of negotiation for the contract. I mean, I can say I could probably have the work plan and budget is a couple of weeks, and I will send that back to them. There's a lot of other, we'll need insurance documents. There's a whole list of things that they need to include in this contract, but that's probably a couple weeks to get that together and send it back to them. But I think it's the RFP piece that needs to be.
So are you asking for feedback from this committee on the draft scope of work?
Yes.
And when would you like that feedback? What's the timeline for the feedback?
I'd say within a month or so. Yeah.
And are we going to should we schedule a next meetings or a regularly scheduled meeting so we could maybe submit the feedback before then and then discuss the feedback and you may want to review that and see what adjustments you want to make.
Sure.
And then we could discuss a revised document.
I know it's, we've got 12 people on the committee and it was a little difficult finding a time for everyone to meet, but if this time works for everybody, this time of the month and, time of the day, we could probably I can try to schedule. I'll put out a doodle poll again for this time next month, I would say, and see if everybody can meet at this time next month. I can do that. And in the meantime, email back and forth is fine too. Let's see. Did I send this out I think I sent this out in a PDF form, this consultant scope of work. I can send it out in Word.
That'd
So
be
if you want to, do track changes or do your own editing, and feel free to do that on your own. I'm not a great fan of Google Docs. So I would be fine with everybody sending me a separate Word file with track changes in it, and I can merge them all together and just incorporate your comments. in that way.
That's fine.
Don, I have a quick question. Because the RFPs that I pull out of the solid waste department are probably a little bit different than this type of RFP as far as, you know, I've done one consultant, one for our local solid waste management plan, but a lot of them are like contracts for other things. What exactly is the timeline for this? When you put out the RFP, do you know, like, how long does it have to be out? Do you have registers that you're putting it in? Is there a timeline based within that once we get it out?
That is not, I haven't seen anything from DEC. That's probably county policy. So the county is going to, you know, this will go to Rob, and we have a standard RFP process that the Patrice is looking into, and we will follow those guidelines.
Okay, I'm only asking because I know that if it's the RFP process that I have to do, it can be quite cumbersome, and it is, you know, it takes a few 3 months, 4 months after the RFP is done.
Yeah, I know that may be a little discouraging to some folks on here, but that's kind of what I was expecting, Wendy. Yeah, I was going to say it's probably going to be 6 months before we have a consultant picked. That's my guess.
So I think an overall project timeline would be helpful so that we can kind of start to bake in these deadlines.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Patrice and I, again, we're talking to the treasurer about the portal piece, and we'll talk to Rob about the RFP process. Because the county is going to want to have specific things in the RFP when we send it out.
Don, does your department already work through SFS?
Through what?
Does your department already do things through the SFS program?
We have access to it. I have not worked through that SFS portal before.
Okay, we can talk at a later date on that. I have to deal with that now. It's quite cumbersome. But we will talk offline at another date once you get started with that.
Yeah. Okay. Because the first thing they asked for was, well, you have to have these 3 accounts, 3 roles set up in the SFS portal in order to move forward, and I can't do that. I can't do that myself. So.
I just want to interject and say that the county already has SFS. We all kind of work through one system. So we already have the administrator. We already have all of those things set up. So it's really just getting access to be able to input the information, because regardless of the department that it is, the end part of it, the people that sign off on it are the same people. It's the chairman of the board and or the treasurer's office. So as a department head or department employee, we put in all the information. But the administrator, all of those, the 2 things that I saw here on your sheet that you sent out, those to set up the SFS, that's already done.
Okay.
Through the county. So we'll talk again. We'll talk offline on that, because it looks very cumbersome, the stuff you sent out, but it's kind of already done. We just have to get you in the system itself.
Okay.
Yeah,
I have a sign in for the SFS system, so I can sign in and see things, but I can't, I don't have the ability to
Right. So we just have, it's just administrative tech. Like, there are certain administrative things that you'll be able to do. Right. And there are certain things that we just won't be able to do, that only the top dog can do, if you will. And that's where communication is involved with the treasurers and the chairman of the board's office, just to kind of to fast track those things. Again, we'll talk. I won't waste any more time on this, but I will hunt you down next week.
Okay, that's fine, Wendy. Appreciate it. Yes. I know the word cumbersome has come up a number of times in the last 30 minutes. So yeah.
So did Ron and Don become engaged while we were online? I see you've been paired.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know either. I see that on my screen, but I don't know what that means. But
Okay, so our homework is to get back to you on the draft scope of work. You're going to put together a project timeline and a doodle poll for a next meeting date.
Yes.
And in
Yep.
the interim, you're going to work out the admin side with Wendy and other staff.
Mhm.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah.
And can I just ask too, I don't know if everyone on the committee has seen the, either the application or just the proposal we put together for the application, Ron or Don, but it might be helpful to share that, before folks review this as well.
Yeah, yeah. And if that is, I'll send out the link to the Google folder. Everything is in there. It's all in there. I mean, there's a lot of documents in there already, but yeah, I'll send that link out to everyone again. And if you can't find something, just let me know because it might be buried in a folder somewhere.
And do you have any sense of how far along? Do we have an update on I never get this acronym right, CRPDC, Capital Regional Planning? And what's the status of their regional cap plan?
There was an email. I think Dave asked about that sometime this year. I think sometime this summer, I believe, is their plan to have it complete. At
Because
least
that might be a reference tool for us at some point in
Yeah.
this process.
yeah, at least the first draft of their regional cap. I think they have until 2026 to actually get everything finalized for their regional climate action plan. So, Will, are you familiar with that CDRPC?
I've heard of it before, but I haven't reviewed any of these specific documents. So if you send that Google file, I'll get up to speed pretty quickly.
Yeah. So what they're doing, they're taking doing a regional climate action plan, and they have done a regional greenhouse gas inventory, and they're now in the process of breaking it down. So, and I think they have it now at a county level, the community greenhouse gas inventory at county levels, and they're going to continue breaking it down to the municipal level. So every town, village, and city within the 8-county capital district region is going to have access to community level greenhouse gas emissions if they want to use that for their own community cap program, which is, I think, is a lot. That's a lot of information. Well, it's a huge task that I think we will benefit from greatly.
And Don, I know you touched on it quickly, but do we need help with, or where do we go where do we send out this RFP? Where do we list it with, to try and?
Yeah, we could, if someone we could put together a list of names. I mean, we're going to broadcast it, publicly, but, very often if we have specific names of consultants, I don't think that's, I think we would have to ask the county attorney what the restrictions are on doing that. But we always received RFPs directly from counties. We were sort of on their list.
Right.
So I don't see any personally, I don't see any problem doing that.
I don't believe so, but I know sometimes in construction projects, there's, trade industries where you can put them and attract more attention. And at this level, you might know better, but there must be some
capital district, APA, definitely. Yes.
Did one of the Columbia County Climate Smart Task Force work groups, were they working on a list of possible consultants? Was that something, the woman from
Jennifer?
Yes, Jennifer, thank you. And Dave and someone else, weren't they putting together kind of a draft list of consultants?
Possibly. The only folks that we really talked to directly were the people from ICLEI, which are the folks that kind of put together this protocol, and they put together some tools that municipalities can use, spreadsheets and whatever to help analyze their greenhouse gas inventories. And that's why I bring up the sort of the team approach that I like, because it would be nice to have someone who knows that technical side of things. But again, talking to Cale Roberts from ICLEI and a couple of other folks that we've had talk to us, they're good at the technical aspects, but they don't have a lot of expertise in sort of the public outreach and communication strategies side of things. So, and it depends on what we are able, how we're able to write the RFP, whether we would encourage that kind of collaboration or not. I'm a little biased there, but I don't want to, I don't want to state something that we can't do, county wise, so some of this is going to be through the county attorney about how we're able to advertise this RFP and what we can include and what we can't include. And
Okay, so
Dawn, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I know that the state DEC website does put out RFPs for counties and other entities, kind of like what Ron was saying about like trade industries types of things. So I would imagine that your contact at DEC in regards to this grant would have that information as well.
Right. Okay. Great. Okay. So are we set on everything? Any other last comments before we sign off? All right.
There's nothing else we can do to help you, Don, other than offer suggestions on your scope of work?
Yeah. Right
At
now,
this
that's
point?
primarily what I'm looking for. Yeah. I want to get that kind of set, because I think that's the thing that's going to take the most amount of time, is getting the RFP written and okayed by the county attorney. And I think that's the process that's going to take the most time. So the more work we can do on that, the better, I believe.
Don,
Okay.
were you able to reach out to other counties about scope of works or RFPs that they set out where we could have like, like their working documents of what they did, just to kind of use for inference?
Yeah. The only one I received was one from Saratoga Springs.
Okay.
And that was just for a government operations cap. But I
Okay.
took that and I've responded to a lot of RFPs in my past 20 years as a private consultant. So they're pretty, I think I have a pretty good handle on what I have here as a draft.
Okay.
So Tara offered to provide some more if we need some. So I may reach out to her and see if she has any more samples that we can use.
I think that would be great, because I think because we're doing two scopes of work, the government ops and the community piece, we really want to have some goals for both.
Yeah.
So, and I'm thinking specifically of the ag community. We're hoping to have some tools for the ag community at the end of this. So I think that if we can find some additional reference tools, that'd be great.
Yes. Yep. And I'll also say that, again, with DEC, this is like a negotiated contract, and they're going to want to see the RFP before we send it out, because they're going to want to see certain, they may add some like deliverables at certain milestones too, to include in that consultant scope of work. So they're going to want to provide some feedback on it too. Okay, and that Saratoga Springs RFP is in the Google Drive too, buried in a folder somewhere. I'm gonna take a look at that.
Well, I thank you, Don, for the work you put together so far. This is a great start.
All right,
Thanks,
Okay.
everybody.
Have a
appreciate
good
it.
weekend, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
now.
Bye now.
Don, do you think that before, that the contract could be shared with the 3 supervisors? Just so that we can have a sense of what's in the contract or not? I know it's going to go to the attorney, but would it be beneficial for us to take a look at it as well?
You mean the contract with DEC or?
Yes.
Yes. Well,
I don't want to share it with the full CAP committee, but I'd like to request a copy of it. It's up to you
Yeah.
whether you want to distribute it to anybody else.
yeah, okay.
But
So we
typically-
actually don't have a contract at all. Anything that says contract on it yet.
Okay.
But I think we have to provide this first.
Oh, and then they make a contract based on
Yes,
this.
yeah.
Okay.
We have to
Okay.
provide a work plan, a budget, probably a draft RFP to them, and then they will draw up a draft contract, send it back to us, and it'll go. They've said right in their communications it's going to go back and forth a couple of times
Okay.
before
Okay.
they accept it. So yeah, but I will. Yeah, as soon as
Okay.
it comes in, I can share
Okay.
it.
So, okay. Because I was just looking for, sometimes the contract will give you a heads up about, where you're headed. But I
Right.
understand they're gonna build it, custom build it for each grant is what it sounds like.
That's my understanding. Yes, which is a
Wow.
little
I'm amazed they have the resources for that.
It's
Okay.
all new to me. It's all new to
Okay.
me. Brenda.
Well,
Yeah.
great meeting. And if I see Newman, I'm going to tell him that we accomplished everything on the agenda and we
Yeah.
got so much work done when he's not here. I'm going to bust his chops a little bit.
Okay, Brenda. Thank you.
Enjoy the weekend and thanks for a great job.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.